Now let me do a quick video in Artist 7. The first and the most important thing is we become artists. Now I don't have to explain the meaning of what Picasso said or some other artists regarding quotes because it's a wastage of time. For example, Picasso said that we are all born artists. Now it's a question whether we keep ourselves artists as we grow up. That doesn't mean that we cannot become artists, we grow as an artist. So these talks we don't discuss here, but it's a funny thing, many people think about life in that way. We don't. But you can become an artist, you can grow yourself as an artist, you are born obviously as an artist, then you put the effort. But we become artists. Whatever way it is, we become artists. We put forth the effort. Now, we are aware about life, people, situations, interactions, so we can write, we can perform, we can discuss. Now, being curious about life, choosing exciting topics, characters, plot, depending on what is needed, what kind of importance in telling the story. Now, when you give an outstanding performance, be it in my film or others' films, I'm very happy. And this can be futile to say, but it's very true. Now you obviously understand, so I won't mention that. We all become a part of this celebration that we call cinema. And for a while you have known me, rather seen me as a person, whatever tiny little way you have known me. But it's much more, what we have done before that, before this tenure, how we have made ourselves, you yourself have made yourself, I myself have made myself, and it's true for other artists and people as well. That's why we can connect, and we can relate to each other, and a way forward. So it's much more what we have done before that and a way forward. And the effort we put as an artist, often we don't talk about it because the work is more important, but we can relate. This is the place where I will receive more blames and criticism. This channel, this particular channel, Artist 7, this is where I will receive more blames and criticism. I can tell you, and people won't say it to me directly because they cannot argue properly. They cannot say directly things to me because I will ask questions they won't be able to answer, and many other things as well. But they will give me blames and criticism in other ways, indirectly, behind my back to other people. Though I respect criticism, and I won't call it a criticism because criticism, when I use that term, it's about talking about cinema in a very deep manner, talking about art in a very deep manner. If I talk about Jean-Luc Godard, I will call him a critic as well as a filmmaker because it's a great critic he used to be. Only one example, there are so many others, but you can relate to it, right? And we are punk filmmakers too. One thing I want to mention specifically, we are punk filmmakers too. And to all of you who want to make those films, I may not shout or fight all the time, I don't have to, but we need more of these films. If you want to think about my character, if you want to think about my personality, keep a large aspect of it as punk so that you can incorporate or use that in punk filmmaking in terms of characterization, in terms of dialogue, in terms of performance, whatever way you can. We need more of these films. It's not good or bad. We need more punk films. So topics, then selecting people, then execution in every aspect. And you know, when we interact, and also when we don't interact, in silence, in smiles, in gestures, sometimes when we meet, holding hands, that touch, we can communicate a lot. That is also part of whatever I have said because we can relate to it. That's why we don't mention it. And that's the joy of life. That's the joy of being an artist. That's the joy of being a filmmaker. That's the joy of being a technician sometimes who can eventually evolve into an artist, a director, cinematographer, art director, whatever way you think of. But it's that artist in you. We can guide others, instruct others, we can talk to others, we can have a conversation, we can communicate, we can make a good film, we can collaborate, we can tell other people about the concept of the film, about the idea of the film, and how we are going to make it happen, how we are going to bring people together to make this film, to tell the story the best possible way we can. We don't talk about it much because it's a very basic thing we do. We don't need to talk about it. When you see the film, you see the film. When you read the script, you read the script. If you have anything to ask, I will be very happy to answer those questions. Many people are like that way. But sometimes you need to approach other people so that, they might be having some difficulty. So you need to, ask them whether they are having some difficulty or not. Basic thing, we don't talk about it. But we relate to each other in this way. So we will keep making mistakes. I will keep making mistakes. And these mistakes don't count much because the talks we are doing, that is tremendously significant. And whatever I have done so far in this channel, you might find a bit of dirt or, sometimes things you may not like. But if you dig deeper, you will find gold. You can use that in making films, scripts, characterization, comical moments as well. Comedy. We can have a good laugh about it. And that's part of maturity, being a mature person, because I can laugh at myself really well. Sometimes I can make mistakes in my own film and I can look at my film, oh, I could have done it in a different way. I laugh at it. So we need to be broad, we need to be more open so that we can talk about things in a much more open manner. We can direct people in that way. We can make films, we can tell stories in that way. Often I don't interact much, I don't need to, I don't have to. But when we interact, I don't have to say each and everything to you, right? That's the joy of being an artist, a filmmaker, an actor, any person in the crew. I can talk about films for hours. We will do that. We will do a lot of talks about films, performances. But find innovative ideas and find a way to tell the stories that can, take those ideas. And when we look at the performances on screen and the wholesome aspect of the storytelling, okay, we were part of this, from idea to what we see on screen, and also the effect we have because of the film. Because the film is not going to have a shelf life. The film is a significant part in our lives. One film, many films, film of different filmmakers. And the way we make ourselves, the way we become artists, the way we become filmmakers, that is part of us. So we are not making compromises, we are not doing mediocre stuff. When we set out to do something really great, and and we know that we have made ourselves in that way, so that we are making the film the best possible way we can. That effort we put in each and every aspect of that filmmaking process, that is really good. And that is something we should cherish, that is something we should enjoy, that is something we should have a lot of fun about. Some people will talk about the parts, the superficial aspects, the mistakes I make. These things will go on, that's part of life. But what we need is more films, innovative ideas, creative ideas. And sometimes, it's true that people expect me to be uh, the right person to do all the right things all the time. And it's very true. It's a tough life. I know that. But after all, we are human beings. So we make mistakes. And filmmaking, cinema, art, they give us a way to, laugh at ourselves, laugh at those situations, to enjoy those stories, those moments with ourselves, with others. So we should enjoy that. We should cherish that. In life, people, we should keep making films.